Good morning, my Mimic Army. I am the AMDM Lee, and this is my cup of coffee, which I'm out of. So, what I'm doing here is actually giving you kind of a little update about what we do here, what we have on our Discord server, as well as what we do here on Twitch. First off, on Monday nights, we have our Q&A. This is set up at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we take questions both on here on Twitch, as well as live stream it on TikTok, and with our Discord patron support, asking questions about either about my homebrew world, about D&D in general, or we just BS about nerdy stuff. That's all it is. No requirements, nothing else, just somebody talking and having a good time for an hour or two. After that, we come across to our
skill learned at Walmart.
Black Door game, where a group of assassins have set out into the world. Now, what's unique about this game is almost all of the classes that are being played are homebrew subclasses or completely new homebrew classes. They were made by our one of our mods and on our Discord server, and this is kind of it's really a playtest game. It's been a lot of fun. They've come across a few little adventures trying to figure out what they're going to do in the world. Come check it out. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. Next up, we have on Wednesdays and Thursdays are usually my days of rest or when I try to play games. Now, Thursday will be changing soon.
Both of those are necessary for being a dungeon master.
Issues corrected out, but we will be starting a new campaign soon, strictly for certain
I know how to.
Patreon members. Now this will not be a bunch of one shots.
This is
like
the skill that you have right now as a dungeon master. I can make things on the fly and always solve the problems without fail.
World. But then that brings us
exactly
to Friday.
There you go.
Friday is some of the funnest games I've ever played.
Depends.
There are a series of one-shots for our Order of the Scale. Now, this game is 100% first come, first serve to our Patreon supporters. It goes every Friday night from 8 p.m. to usually around 11. And I never know exactly who's playing,
not even a position in the job,
playing, what class they are, what level they are. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me, anyway. But I just wanted to cover these things with you. I wanted to let you know
on the back of it
what we do,
role play for dice.
why we're here, and I wanted to, and also take this moment to say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. If you would like to support and you haven't yet, there are multiple ways to do so. One of which is using your Amazon Prime.
I prefer the money. With the money, I can buy the dice.
Twitch account. If you've got Amazon Prime and you're not using
and the
your
dice that I want.
Twitch subscription, I'm more than happy to use it. Another way you can support us
if it has numbers on it, it's the dice that I want.
You access to a lot more stuff.
Touche. I cannot fight that against that logic.
All kinds of goodies on there. But if that's not quite your cup of tea and you're wanting to get a little bit more out of it, you can come check out our Zazzle site, where you can get cool things
I was the first counterpost on that.
This is a battle map bandana. It's set out in grid work, and there are other maps that I've been designing and getting ready to publish out on there.
Oh no!
We have T-shirts.
For real?
You can get yourself an AMDM T-shirt. Get yourself a Mimic. There's some Mimic Army stuff coming soon. So yeah, if you want to support us, but you don't want to do the Patreon or the RP, you just want some cool
Look
gear,
how sexy the die look.
They've got some cool stuff on there. And that's really all I wanted to say. Games on here usually start around 8 p.m. with the exception of our Monday Q&A, which starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, just come check us out. And thank you. Till next time, go forth and roll some dice. Y'all have a good day. Now, welcome back to the Pseudopod-Cast. Last 2 weeks, we have discussed the new playtest rulings. We went over the classes, the subclasses, and all of the feats in the last book, or the last update. The only thing we did not cover was the rules glossary, which is what we're going to cover tonight, because I need content, and well, this is it.
Did the martial arts like fighter and those classes came out?
No, those not yet. We're discussing the rules themselves that we didn't cover last week. Talking about the changes they made here and there. So the revised rules, such as creature type, that aren't defined in the 2014 Player's Handbook. The terms are organized alphabetically. If a term doesn't appear here, use its definition from the 2014 rule book. And when it does, do not use the rules glossary or any other unearthed arcana when playtesting this. So they're asking, if you're going to use these rules, use these rules. Use all of them. Don't use the other ones. So the first thing we've got on here, this week, they're talking about the ability check. The ability check is one of 3 types of D20 test. I don't like the term 3 types. Huh. I don't really like them calling it D20 test. That just sounds, come on. You're D&D, wizards. You've made enough mistakes. Fix something. So the rules often call for an ability check, and the DM will also call for an ability check, determining whether the ability to use when a creature attempts something, or a chance of meeting a failure, blah, 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 blah. The ability check has the following special rules. Skills. When you make an ability check, the rules or the DM determines whether a skill proficiency is relevant to the check. If you have a relevant skill proficiency, you can add your proficiency bonus to the roll. For example, if the rule refers to a strength check, acrobatics, or athletics, you can add your proficiency bonus to the check if you have acrobatics or... Basically, that's the same. Mm-hmm. Action required. Making ability checks requires you to take an action. Okay, that's very interesting. Again, we've got to watch this. We watch the wording here. It says making an ability check requires you to take an action. So that means any check you make is at least an action. So that's going to change things up in combat.
Like trying to persuade the bad guy not to attack us will take an action from us, and maybe we could do something else.
Precisely. That's now eating up an action instead of just making a. Well, I want to do a quick look around and see. Well, that's your action. It's I think it's probably like that now, but I don't use it that way. I'm like, I gauge the room. The DM may override this requirement and allow for a particular ability check to be made as part of a bonus action or no action at all. So there's the answer to the question. Difficulty class. The DM determines the difficulty class. The default DC is 15, and it is rarely worth calling for an ability check if the DC is as low as 5, unless potential failure is narratively interesting or funny.
They did not write it like that. They did not write it like that.
No, they didn't write it like that, but I'm adding that in.
Oh, okay.
So, very easy is 5, easy is 10, medium 15, hard is 20, very hard is 25, and nearly impossible is 30. Unless you consider the people I have played with, where they're constantly rolling nat 20s and 19s. When the lowest roll of the night is a 17, there's issues. All right, one of the new things here, armor training. I know they mentioned this when they were in the feats themselves. Armor training is a new name for armor proficiency. Any existing rule that involves armor proficiency now applies to armor training, so they just changed the name of it. Why did they change the name of it? I don't know. If you wear light, medium, or heavy armor and lack armor training, with this type you have disadvantage, and any D20 test you make involves strength or dexterity. Okay. I may not have paid much attention to this in current rulings, but I kind of like this. So, if you do not have the training to wear the armor, you have disadvantage on any dex or strength checks, and you cannot cast spells. So if you don't choose the armor feat, you can't wear armor and cast spells. If you equip a shield and lack the armor training with shields, you don't gain the armor class bonus for the shield. So it is no longer an automatic +2. It's, are you proficient with it?
If not, you better get me.
You better. Then it's a useless item in your hand.
Congratulations, you have a frisbee. It was worth 1d4 range damage.
Hey, Captain America can do a lot with a frisbee.
Yeah, but I play I play Captain America on Wednesday nights in Tormy's game. Well, my version of Captain America, an Aarakocra.
He's a wannabe. He's Cap from Falcon.
Yes, and me and Tormy made a Master of Shield feat that plays off like Captain America. It's great. I love it. Yeah, it does sound like kind of like a 3.5 did it. All right, now let's see. Artisan tools. Artisan tools are a category of tool with which a character can gain tool proficiency. For a list of artisan tools, see the things, see the book, but ignore the prices there. All artisan tools now cost 15 gold. So to get the tools, is it the tools or
does this include thieves' tools?
Yes.
Oh.
15 gold to get these.
Oh.
I think it includes thieves' tools. They haven't really mentioned on that yet. When you take, we're talking about attack action. All right. When you take an attack action, you can make one attack with a weapon, or an unarmed strike. Equipping weapons. You can equip or unequip one weapon before or after any attack you make as part of this action, even if the attack is an unarmed strike. So basically, if you're changing weapons, you could equip it at the beginning, equip a weapon at the beginning of your turn. If you wanted to change weapons, you would have to unequip it at the end, and then at the beginning of your next turn, equip the new one.
So you cannot change weapons mid-fight?
Yeah. You can take it as part of the action. So that's what it's saying. You can only do it as a part of the action. So if you're going to drop a weapon, it's no longer. If you're unequipping, that means, I guess, stowing the weapon. I wouldn't think that would be necessary if you were just dropping it, though.
Yeah. Like we always do, we drop the weapon and draw the new one.
Yeah.
Right, dropping the weapon is usually a free action. However, getting it is where the action economy is taken back up again. Because
Is it like interaction?
It's an object interaction. You can have one object interaction per action. So it's like what you tried to do last night, where you shot the bow, dropped the bow, and then went to punch it. And then when you tried to get the bow again, and we said no, you can't do that, because you had that interaction already.
Okay, I get it.
All right. So now we come to moving between attacks. If you move on your turn, you can use some or all of that movement to move between the attacks of this action if you have a feature such as extra attack that will give you more than one attack as part. If you move on your turn, you can use some or all of your movement to move between the attacks of this action, such as extra.
Oh, that's just what we need. The monk going, as he's dancing on top of the people's heads.
Yeah, if you move on your turn, you can use some or all of your movement. I'm trying to get this to stick into my head because it's not reading right. Or I don't think it is. If you move on your turn, you can use some or all of that movement to move between the attacks of this action if you have a feature, such as extra attack that gives you more than one attack as part of the attack action.
Mm-hmm. So
Example,
attack, move,
I can
attack,
attack.
move, attack.
Exactly.
But what if you don't? What, can you still move?
Well, you could.
Then why? Well, see, that's what it's. That's what kind of. It's the way it's kind of wording. I know.
It's not disengaging it. It's just you're able to move still.
Which you. Yeah, they're saying. What they're saying is, if you have one attack, you swing and you hit this guy over here. This guy's dead. Then you can use the rest of your movement to go over here and hit this guy with your second attack. If you have a second. If you have a. 2 attack actions.
Yeah.
Right.
But the way it reads is you can move this guy and attack, but if you don't have another attack action, you can't move. That's the gist of what I'm reading. Yeah, so you can hit, move, hit, or move, hit, move, hit, move. As long as you have movement left, you can move.
Exactly.
That's my motto. That's what it should say. If you have movement, you can move at any point during your turn.
Whether you can get away with moving.
Oh yeah, that's attack roll. There are 3 types of D20 tests. The Unearthed Arcana uses the rules for attack rolls and critical hits found in blah blah blah. So for the critical hit rules in this one, they're saying go back to the player's handbook.
To the original? That's good.
Yeah, don't use the ones from the last playtest. Just use the ones from the player's handbook. All right.
Yeah.
There are some.
If I roll to attack, I roll to crit. Perfect.
Yep. All right. So they did make some changes to certain spells. An arcane spell draws from the ambient magical, and they're talking about arcane spells. Ambient magic of the multiverse, bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards harness this magic, as do artificers. For a partial list, go to the spell list, which is listed above, and we're not covering all the spells. Thank you, Wizards of the West Coast. I love my content, too. No, I'm just mad. I'm not that. Yes, I am. So one of the new spell changes they did was Bark Skin. Let's see. Primal. I haven't played a bard in a long time. Not a bard, a druid that has had this spell in a long time. You touch one willing creature to protect it with regenerating bark. Until the spell ends, the target's skin assumes a bark-like appearance, and at the start of each of the target's turn, the target gains a number of temporary hit points equal to your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. So instead of raising AC or something, it just gives you 10 hit points. I kind of like that. It doesn't necessarily make you harder to hit. You just have more hit points. And I think the original one made you harder to hit.
Yeah, it gave you more AC.
So in this one, you're not just harder to hit, you're just harder to kill.
Yes.
Good for barbarians.
Yeah, it would stack with the barbarian stuff. Another thing, next thing that came up. Yeah, not on the new bark skin, no AC buff. Which if you have the party just right, I mean, you could layer things on top of things in older editions and just have a crazy AC for a wizard, for a magic user, just crazy. Another thing they changed, blind sight. Now these aren't just dealing with spells, this is just in an alphabetical order setup of rule information. If you have blind sight, you can effectively see within a specific range without relying on physical sight. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can effectively see a hidden or invisible creature in that range, which could negate sneak attack.
Wait. Even hidden creatures? Because
yes.
Right now the blind side is like, unless they successfully hide from you. Even if they hide.
You cannot hide from blind sight.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, blind sight, even if that thing is in the area, blind sight cancels out the hide.
Wow. Too bad it's only 10 feet.
It doesn't say on here. This just talks different things will have different levels of blind sight. Most PCs only have 10 feet. There are monsters and creatures that have much larger. All right, now we get into climb speed. A climb speed can be used to move on a vertical surface without expending the extra movement normally associated with climbing. Climb speed can also be used in any situation in which your speed is usable. Some creatures have the spider climb trait, which allows their climb speed to work even on the underside of surfaces. So it's just given a climbing speed now as something new in there. Hi, Al Jelly. Welcome to the podcast. Just for the blind sight. Blind sight is awesome. Let's see. What are they changing in creature types? All creatures in D&D, including every player character, has a special tag in the rules that identifies the type of creature they are. Most player characters are the humanoid type. Then you have aberration, beast, celestial, construct, dragon, elemental, fey, fiend, giant, humanoid, monstrosity, ooze, plant, and undead.
Is there undead? Well,
yeah, there's vampires, mummies, zombies, rights, ghosts, banshees. There's a lot of creatures that have the undead tag.
Yeah.
Basically, they just said they're kind of. It reminds me of rules when it said like protection from good and evil or protection from lawful. There were certain spells that they used the alignments that alignments couldn't deal with that. I think they're going to kind of go back with that, saying something like the cure wounds doesn't work on constructs. Well, so if the tag says this type of thing doesn't work on a dragon, polymorph doesn't work on a dragon. It doesn't work on. It only works on these tags. I can see that happening. That interesting.
It will diversify the spell list.
It could, yes.
This type of spell for this type of.
Or it could also hinder a spell list.
Ooh.
Especially in something like the OTS, where all our plays are at random, and random groups all mixed together.
Precisely, Spike.
That is going to be fun.
To answer Wizards of the West Coast, if they don't work on constructs, well, mending wood. But most PCs are not. The Warforged, which is the construct style, is not classified as a construct. So it's all in the wording.
It reads that cure wounds can work on him. It actually reads it that it can work.
Because it's not technically it's technically a construct, but it's a. Yeah, it's all in the wording.
Like a good magic card.
Oh, not deep gnomes. Deep gnomes are a humanoid race. You're thinking of the auto gnomes. From what Sifu said, Robbie. All right, moving on. The D20 test. This is the one. This is the one that pissed off everyone last time. The term D20 test encompasses the three main roles of the game: ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. If something in a game affects D20 test, it affects all three of these rolls. Interesting. So there may be things where they say, "Oh, that's it. That is interesting." So you
just got buffed.
Not necessarily. But what it's saying is you could have, and I imagine this is going to work out with things like environmental effects, where if it says you have to, thing causes a D20 test, affects D20 test, which would mean you could basically, all those rolls are a disadvantage. Or, instead of just, okay, you have disadvantage on this one, you have disadvantage on that. The room's in an earthquake and it's affecting all D20 tests. So that means attack rolls are at disadvantage, saving throws are at disadvantage, even ability checks are at a disadvantage. I kind of like that. Or at least the thought behind it. And here's one of for like big BBEGs, that would be an excellent little thing there, and I may end up using that. Whenever a player rolls a 1, now the last rule setting, they said on a D20, if you crit, you got the heroic inspiration. They wanted to test that out for a month. Well, this week they're saying, how about we take it the other way? How about every time you roll a 1, you gain an inspiration? Where last time it was, I'm doing good, I'm going to keep doing good. This time it's, I fucked up, I'm going to do better next time. Either way, it's still a 5% chance. It's
Lee, without rolls, nat ones come a lot.
yeah, I know.
So that would be a lot of inspiration.
That's not supposed to fall in there. You're supposed to stay in the big. It's hot. You're supposed to stay in there. But yeah, it could end up showing up a lot. But again, I kind of like the way they're doing it. Either way is fine. I'm willing to bet next month on the test it's going to say, all right, for heroic inspirations, you get one if you roll a d20, if you roll a nat 20, and you get one if you roll a nat 1. I think if you're going in that route, I think you should be able to do them both at the same time. Yeah, both ways. If they fuck up, give them an inspiration to do better next time. If they do really good, give them an inspiration to keep going. All right. Next thing up here, we're talking about the dash action. Taking the dash action allows you to make a bonus move during the current turn. Basically, all they did was make it a better wording. They worded it a little bit better. Next part, difficult terrain. If a space is difficult terrain, every foot of movement in that space costs an extra foot. So, for example, moving 5 feet through difficult terrain costs 10 feet of movement. Difficult terrain is cumulative. Either a space is difficult or it isn't. A space of difficult terrain for a creature, if the space is difficult terrain for a creature if the space contains any of the following: creature that isn't tiny, furniture that is small or larger, heavy snow, heavy undergrowth, ice, liquid that's shin deep, any deeper than shin to waist deep. Any deeper than that, you go to the swim speed. Narrow, creature that is sized for a creature of one size smaller. A narrow opening that is sized for a creature one size smaller. Oh, so if you're large, the opening's only good for a medium, whatever. Okay. A pit or another gap of 2 to 5 feet. Rubble. And a slope of 20 degrees or more. That seems pretty specific for some reason. But, yeah, if I say difficult terrain, it's difficult terrain. You can come up with 100 different reasons why.
Still difficult terrain.
Yeah.
Why?
And
You say so.
I think all they did on this was just work on the wording some. It's still half movement. You only use, or twice, but it's all in the wording. It's the same. They didn't change anything. Divine spells. A divine spell draws on the power of gods and other outer planes. Clerics and paladins harness this magic. For a partial list of divine spells, see the spell list. That is it. Only the clerics and the paladins can touch divine spells. Because druids now draw from primal. I wonder if there's some of them that are going to be multiple spell slots.
Druids draw from the vine, not divine.
New exhaustion levels. Or exhaustion conditions.
Oh, goodness, that's going
to... All right. While you're subjected to the exhausted conditions, known in older books as exhaustion, levels of exhaustion, this condition is cumulative. I have to slow down when I say that word. Each time you receive it, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. You die if your exhaustion level exceeds 10.
Oh, they gave you extra levels?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Wasn't it like
6.
6?
6.
All right. So D20 rolls affected. When you make a D20 test, you subtract your exhaustion level from the D20. Ah, see, here's where they made a change. Instead of just saying it's this one or this one, this is why they've given it 10 levels. Because if you're at level 9, you're subtracting 9 from every D20 test you make. Where it was just minor thing, now they're saying this is every test. Also from saving throws, finding a long rest removes one of your exhaustion levels. So that didn't change. They added more levels into it, and instead of breaking it up like you lose this on this level, you use this, they just made it a cumulative single thing that you lose. It's a dice, you take a minus for every level, and that's it.
It makes it easier to follow.
It does, without having to look things up. Like, okay, I've got 2 levels of exhaustion. What am I? I'm at 2 levels of exhaustion. I'm at -2 on everything.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that. And it's going to play out those scenes where the party has been just fighting their way through this dungeon, getting no rest or anything. It allows that to be more dramatic before they take that long rest. We've been fighting monsters for days now. How many days? 3. Everything's at a -3. It's easier to keep track of on those harder, more hardcore games.
That's better. It's easier to know. It's easier to understand. We don't have to break our heads over it.
Yeah. All right. Now they're going to talk about expertise. Expertise is a special feature that enhances your use of a particular skill proficiency. If you gain expertise, you gain it in one skill in which you're proficient. You can never have expertise in the same skill more than once. When you make an ability check with that skill, your proficiency bonus is doubled. The same as what it is. I think they just cleaned up the language. All right, fly speed. Can we move through the air so you have a fly speed? While flying, if you fall if you are incapacitated or restrained. Unless you have the hover trait, which you can stay aloft while incapacitated and restrained. So that's...
What's that person doing knocked out there just laying in the air?
So I think we just cleaned up the language on this to make it an official set. Some of these, that's all they did, like gaming set now becomes a tool proficiency instead of just a thing proficient with. It's all in they've changed up just some wording. Grappling condition. While you are grappled, you experience the following effects. Speed, 0. You have disadvantage on attack rolls against any target other than the grappler. Okay. That's the same. The grappler can move or drag you, but suffers from the slowed condition. Unless you're tiny or 2 or more sizes smaller than the grappler. So what if you're like a gargantuan and you grab a tiny?
You're coming.
And I guess it says unless, so they're not slowed if you're 2 times larger than they are. All right. Escape. When grappled, you can make a dexterity or strength saving throw against the grappler's DC at the end of your turns, ending the condition on yourself if successful. It also ends if the grappler is incapacitated or something moves you outside the grappler's range without using your speed. I kind of like the original where it was just a set DC of 15. Or the one in the last playtest. I mean, this makes sense. but it's still against a grappling DC. So I guess there's no rules on. I guess it was in the grappling rules that set the DC. I don't know. I have to go back and read that again. Grappling is one of those rules that nobody wants to, or nobody can remember. Those and jump rules. For some reason, I can never remember those. Next item. Huh?
A grappler can it be done like a grappler barbarian? That is just like a luchador or something.
Yeah, meat.
What?
The guy that almost lost to Kipo.
Oh.
Almost lost to Kipo.
Almost.
He kept attacking.
Almost.
He kept attacking the dog instead of attacking the player, the character, the way he knew he should have been doing. Anyway, so they made some changes to the guidance spell. Casting time reaction. Whoa, what is okay? Guidance. Casting time reaction, which you take in response to you or an ally within you of 30 feet failing an ability check.
Oh.
So this is now a reaction. You gain magical insight to the creature that failed the check. The creature that can roll a d4 and add that number, potentially turning it into a success. Once a creature rolls the die for this spell, that creature can't benefit from the spell again until a long rest. So you cast it on whatever creature you cast it on, can only take the benefits of it once. But it can be cast as a reaction. That's interesting. That's it's kind of like a reactionary bless. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Basically, it's yelling, "Duck! Hey, Mr. Barrel!" All right, so now that's the only thing they changed on that. Now we've moved on to help action. When you take the help action, you do one of the following. Assist an ability check. Choose one of your skill proficiencies and one ally who can see or hear you. You give advantage to the next ability check that ally makes with the chosen skill. So you have to have the same skill. If they don't use it, it expires. You give the assistant, you must be able to verbally or physically assist them. Near enough to assist verbally or physically. And the DM has the final say on whether it's possible. So you just have to make sure that two people have the same proficiency. And then assist on attack roll. This is interesting. You momentarily distract an enemy within 5 feet, granting advantage to the next attack roll by one of your allies next to the enemy. The benefit expires at the start of your next turn. Now, this is a help action, which means you don't attack on it. You just help somebody else get the attack.
Hello, rogues.
No. Well, this doesn't make. This is not worth it.
A tank, let's say a cleric, let's say Alexa, the recent cleric tank. 25 AC, she doesn't attack most of the actions.
Yes, but she's usually casting spells.
At some point, she can just, okay, here's it, I can take the hit, I will distract it so the rogue that can do a hell of a lot with a sneak attack.
Yeah, she could do that, or she could punch it. Your rogue with a sneak attack is already going to have advantage. So why not take the odds of having of hitting, doing the assisting on an attack roll. Now, for a PC, useless. But It may work with familiars.
Oh.
If they have the help action, you can have a animal sidekick that may be able to grant you advantage because it's like flying up in the face of the boss or something. So that's probably what it's for. I don't see any player character taking because it'd be a waste of an action for a player character. All right. Heroic inspiration. So we're going to see where they change this. Gaining heroic inspiration. So we mentioned that earlier, dealing with it. When you roll a 1, you get the inspiration. So that hasn't changed. And you can never have more than one at a time. You can give it to somebody else. So that hasn't changed. Now, for those that play the stealthy characters, the hidden condition. So whenever you make a stealth roll to hide, you have to make it against a certain DC. If you hit that DC, you are hidden. So hidden, if you have the hidden condition, you are concealed. You aren't affected by any effect that requires its target to be seen. If you are hidden when you roll initiative, you have advantage on that roll. Attack rolls against you have disadvantage, and your attack rolls have advantage. The condition ends on you immediately after any of the following occurrences. You make a sound louder than a whisper, an enemy finds you, you make an attack roll, you cast a spell with a verbal component, or you aren't heavily obscured or behind any cover. And then the very next thing is the hide action to get you to the hidden condition. With the hide action, you try to conceal yourself. To do so, you must make a DC 15 dexterity check, stealth, while you are heavily obscured or behind 3/4 or total cover. And you must be out of any visible enemy's line of sight. If you can see a creature, it can see you. On a successful check, you are hidden. Make note of your check's total. That becomes the DC of the wisdom check to find you. Incapacitated. When you are incapacitated, you can take no actions or reactions. Your concentration is broken. You can't speak. And if you are incapacitated, when you roll initiative, you have disadvantage on the roll. Well, no shit. Sorry. So here's one that I've been interested in. Influence. Because I like to play Bardy characters. People who have high charisma. With the influence action, you can try to influence another creature to do something you request or demand. That action can be used only on a creature controlled by the DM, and it isn't mind control. So you cannot use this against your other party members.
Damn it.
Only against NPCs and monsters. It can't force a creature to do something that is counter to the creature's alignment or that is otherwise repugnant to the creature. Thank you for the likes. The action has 3 main parts: attitude, interaction, and the charisma check. A creature's attitude determines how a character can influence the creature. Each DM-controlled creature has one of the following attitudes towards the players. And I'm not going to go into details on them individually, but it's either indifferent, I don't care who you are, yeah, stay, go, I don't care. Friendly, hey guys, how's it been? Or hostile, oh, it's you again.
Get the hell out.
Yeah. When you take
That will happen.
When you take the influence action, either roleplay how your character interacts, describe it, focus on it, focusing on your character's request or demand. If the interaction is especially suited to the creature's desire and outlook, the DM may grant advantage to temporarily shift advantage to your subsequent check or temporarily shift the hostile creature to indifferent or an indifferent creature to friendly. And then they show the responses. They've just kind of broken down what most DMs do anyway. They have given it a DC, a basic DC response. But it's still kind of the same way. I think they've said they've kind of broken it up a little bit to make it easier for new DMs to handle situations, because a lot of us older DMs, we had to learn by being just thrown into the pool and saying swim or drown. All right. Next up, how many more are these? Jesus. All right, we're not even going to finish covering all of these tonight. I am sorry. Invisible condition, unseeable. You can't be seen. So you aren't affected by any effect that requires that the target seeing any equipment you're wearing also can't be seen. You're invisible when you roll initiative. You have advantage. And attack rolls, yeah, that's not changed. I don't know why. Oh, they made it a condition. They're making a lot of these things conditions. I guess to make it easier to keep track of. That's probably why they're conditions now. Jump action. With the jump action. This is one of those rules I never remember. You attempt to leap more than 5 feet. When you take the action, your speed must be greater than 0, and you must make a DC 10 athletics or acrobats check. If you don't move at least 10 feet immediately before the action, you have disadvantage. On a failed check, you leap 5 feet horizontally or vertically. On a successful check, the check's total determines the distance in feet that you can clear horizontally, and half that if you are jumping vertically. So whatever you roll is the number of feet you cleared. Damn. Wow, that's interesting.
What?
I want to see something here. All right, yeah, I guess so. If you have at least 10 feet of movement, you could be jumping on you could potentially jump at an Olympic level.
Like what? 15 feet?
Because the world record is 29 feet. And 41 fourth, 40, no. So almost 9 meters. So a nat 20 with a jumping is going to have you in Olympic status, like world record status. That's kind of cool. Am I? Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Say that again.
I can hear you.
Okay. The volume on my headphones, apparently I've been bumping it. It doesn't lay facing outward. It lays facing up against my body. So I move and it slowly turns my volume down. So if y'all been saying stuff, I just haven't heard y'all. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So you're jumping at Olympic distances. Light weapons. I think we'll get through the L's and then we'll start with the M's next week. I'm not doing another 2-hour podcast. Not when I got to get up as early as I do in the morning. Next thing on here is they've changed up the light weapon property. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make an extra attack as part of the same action. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon in the other hand, and you do not add your ability modifier to the extra attack's damage. You can make this extra attack only once on each of your turns. So it's an attack with base damage. So it's the same rule as now, actually, I believe.
Wait, so let's say I have two short swords. Attack with one with a rogue, I cannot attack again, but I can do another attack as a bonus action or as a day action.
This is as part of the same action. But you don't get any bonuses. You only get your proficiency bonus added to it. You don't get any bonuses to damage.
That's okay, because a rogue, that means it can attack 2 times with one action, disengage, and get the hell out.
That means everybody can attack. As long as you have 2 weapons and they both have to have the light property.
Exactly. Huh, that's interesting.
So yeah, you don't do it as a bonus action, you do it as part of your action. So that still gives you the bonus action.
Exactly. That's why I was like, huh.
It used to be as a bonus action you could do it, but now you can do it. They're saying you can do it as part of the same action, which I guess gives you. Honestly, it does feel proper that if you're doing attacking 2-handed weapons or weapon in each hand, that you get those as part of the same attack. I do like that. And then that frees your bonus action up to do your cool class stuff.
Which for a monk means 2 more attacks.
Yeah.
But for a monk, that means 4 attacks as an action.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. Long rest. Let's see. Long rest is a period of extended downtime, at least 8 hours long, available to any creature. During a long rest, you sleep at least 6 and perform no more than 2 hours of light activity, such as reading, talking, eating, or standing watch. Benefits of the long rest include regaining all of your hit points, regain all your spent hit dice, and if your hit point maximum is reduced, it returns to normal. I don't like that last part.
Why?
Because I have players in my current game that have reduced hit points, and they've not sought the restoration to get that fixed. Because it used to be something that could only be done through restoration spells and rejuvenations, divine magics.
Which game?
My home game.
Oh. That would suck for you.
Ability scores restored. If any of your ability scores were reduced, they return to normal. Yeah, again, as a DM, no, this is the stuff that's going to reduce those. Most of them should be felt over the course of days, not instantly. You can't benefit more than one long rest in a 24-hour period, and you must have at least one hit point at the start of the long rest to gain its benefits. If a long rest is interrupted by combat by 1 hour of walking, casting spells, or similar activity, the rest confers no benefit and must be restarted. However, if the rest was at least an hour long before the interruption, you gain the benefits of a short rest. So, for the most part, it's all right, but it's that ability scores restored and hit point maximum restored. Most of the time, that's something big that's happened. And it should linger, in my opinion. But that's all we're going to talk about tonight. So what do y'all think about the new rulings so far? We've gotten through about half of them.
They're interesting. The light weapon one can really backfire for if done right by some characters.
Yeah, imagine a character who has multiple attack actions. You've just added one extra one in there. And I know there are creatures that can attack 6 times in a melee because of the number of arms they have that wield swords. And now they're now attacking 7 times per melee per turn.
Actually, it's 1 per attack action, because if I can attack 2 times per action, is 1 attack action, or
No, it's 1 attack action. The number of attacks you have is still considered 1 action. 1 attack action. So if you have 2 attacks normally, like most characters gain around 5th level, 6th level, they gain a second attack action, or they gain a second attack to their attack action. So during their attack action, they can attack twice. With this having the dual wielding properties, or the light weapon in each hand, you would be able to attack 2 times normal, and then a 3rd time with a light weapon as still part of that attack action. So it's made it almost worth being a carrying 2 weapons and being a 2-weapon fighter.
Yep.
And then you take the dueling one, or the 2-weapon fighting, which allows you to get the bonus for the defense. So those would work well together, I think.
Yep.
Well, that's all we're going to do this week. We'll be back the next podcast to talk about magic, movement, ritual casting, musical instruments, swimming, short rest, slowed, all of that other good stuff I didn't get to today because my nose is clogged up and I got to get up early tomorrow to go to work. So, thank you, whoever stuck around for watching. Do appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow on Twitch with the Black Door game, group of assassins. And then Thursday night, we have the Obsidian Curtain. And Friday night, we have the Order of the Scale game. So come check those out on Twitch. They're lots of fun. Lots of fun, yes. Also, if you like what you see and what we do here on anything, or even my content on here, come support us on Patreon. Come check out our shop with the merch. We got some cool stuff. And all of my Patreon supporters will be gaining at least 3 to 4 maps a month at every level of support. The maps I use for the games I run will be put and given to the Patreon supporters, so they're going to get like battle maps every month. That's going to be awesome. I think that's a good deal. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. Until next time, go forth and roll some dice. Bye.